Hey guys, it is Thursday, September 1, 2011. This is my second attempt to make a video, though it's probably a good thing that my husband called during the first one, because it was going absolutely nowhere, and it kept getting interrupted, so, yesterday, Indigo Hour posted a video, introducing herself and calling us to introduce ourselves, and so it made me realize I really haven't made a video really explaining who I am and necessarily my past and blah blah blah. You know, I talk about my past somewhat, but I haven't gone into too many details about who I am and whatnot. So I thought I would introduce myself to you guys, let you know who I am and what I'm about. Though I think most of my videos you kind of already know what I'm about. But I'd like to explain some of my past so that you understand why I am where I'm coming from. This video is not intended to be negative, and it's just me talking about stuff that I went through. And some of it was negative. Actually, a lot of it was negative. But just so that you know, I don't really go through these things much anymore, and when I do, I handle them a lot better than I used to. So some of the topics, some of the things are like depression, suicide, eating disorder, stuff like that. Just that's stuff that I went through, so this is not intended to be negative or bring anybody down. If you feel that it is bringing you down, just stop the video. I don't want to bring anybody down. So, this isn't meant to bring anyone down. It's not meant to be negative. It's actually meant to be positive. So, like I said, I apologize if you feel that it is negative or anything like that. Got my coffee ready, so, my name is Danielle, and I probably haven't even said that, but you can probably tell from my username. I'm 23, and I'm a Sagittarius, and I'm very, very much so a Sagittarius. Very strong-willed, strong-minded, very independent, but at the same time very dependent. So I'm actually introverted and extroverted. I'm actually more introverted than I am extroverted. However, I do pull off extrovert very well, I'm told. And a lot of people think I'm just this very, very outgoing person, and for the most part I am. But at the same time, I very much so need my own space and my own time to reflect and so on and so forth, which I'd say everybody probably needs that. Indigo Hour mentioned that she has cerebral palsy, and I'd like to say that as I was watching, before she even did her first two videos, she didn't say anything about that. I kind of picked up on that, though, because my brother, my older brother Landon, has a moderate, I believe, form of cerebral palsy. He cannot talk the same way we can, and walking long distances is hard for him to do. It's painful for him. So he does have a chair. He has a talk board, or at least he did before I left home. He's the friendliest person you'll ever meet. He loves to give hugs, and helping raise him made me, I believe, who I am today. I also help, I believe, well, what I say help raise my younger sister, but because I was a babysitter a lot. My father worked a lot. He worked overseas in Angola for a short period of time. I think from my 8th to at least sophomore year, I think is the time frame. However, time frames get really lost in my head because I try not to focus on them, and I used to focus on time frames a lot, and now, as you can see, I forgot Monday totally. If you saw my last video I posted, totally forgot Monday. So, I try not to focus on time frames. And then my mom worked full time, and also attempted going to school several times. from as far back as I can remember, I was a sad child, very sad, very depressed. I remember trying to run away a couple times, and I attempted suicide several times. I think when I hit 12 or 13, I started cutting myself, and it wasn't for attention, it wasn't to try to kill myself, it was to release the pain that I felt, because, again, from as far back as I can remember, I was a very sensitive person, very sensitive to the energies around me, and obviously back then I didn't know that's what it was, it was very easy to hurt my feelings, very easy to make me angry, very easy to make me cry. Anger was probably the most emotion that I felt, expressed. I felt tons of sadness, but anger was how I expressed it. About the same time that I was dealing with self-mutilation, I started dealing with an eating disorder, anorexia. It wasn't so much that I felt I was fat, and I still deal with it, but it's not so much that I think I'm fat, as I don't think I'm fat. Though sometimes I will catch myself looking in the mirror and be like, ugh, this part of me is fat. But now I can identify that that is just a fleeting random emotion, that if I focus on that, obviously I'm going to feel fat. I don't feel fat. I feel very healthy, like I said in past video. And I know that I'm skinny, and people don't let me forget it. I've always been small, though. Even before I dealt with anorexia, I was small. I just have a small frame. So does my mom. So does my sister. We're just small. But I dealt with anorexia because it was the only thing that, food was the only thing I could control, along with the cutting. It was the only thing I had control over. And, I would say that dealing with those things at such a young age, and dealing with a brother that had such when I say severe, I don't think his is, I know there's more severe forms, but being young and growing up with that, your brother that you can talk to and he can communicate with you, but it's through like grunts and things, it was difficult. So that made me grow up fast. I got picked on a lot, as I said in a past video, and I believe that was because my way of thinking, my mindset was a lot older than my peers. I didn't understand the point to have cliques. I didn't understand only having one set of group of friends. I wanted to have everybody as my friend. But for the most part, I didn't have everybody as my friend, and a lot of people were my enemies, and, well, not my enemies, but I got picked on by just about everybody. As I started getting older, that kind of died down, and I started finding real friends, and if you could hear my slurping I'm really sorry. But I got picked on a lot, and, I think it was just because I just didn't have the same interests as everybody. I was not very girly. I liked karate and basketball, and I didn't really like to wear dresses. And I'm still the same way. Any day, give me a band t-shirt and some jeans and some Converses out, and I'm good to go. Throw my hair up in a ponytail or a bun or whatever, I'm good to go. So, I got asked a lot, if I was gay, if I was a lesbian growing up. I didn't know if I was or wasn't, and really I didn't care. I was attracted to whoever I was attracted to, and that's all I believed in, and I still firmly believe in that. However, I am married to a man now, a great man, and so I I dealt with that. Blah, 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 blah. Having to grow up really quickly was difficult for me, but I think it opened my eyes and to what was really happening around me, and identified with the deceased, the past souls, the souls of past living, more than I identified with the beings that were alive. I went through an obsession stage with Kurt Cobain and Nirvana, where my walls were covered in anything and everything Kurt Cobain and Nirvana. I have several books on Kurt and his life and death. And then later went through an obsession with Jim Morrison and The Doors. So that's not an example of how, you know, I know a lot of people went through that. I'm going to just I'm really being vulnerable here, really putting myself, allowing you guys to see, because a lot of this might make me sound crazy, and if you think I'm crazy, that's cool. But basically Kurt Cobain was like my imaginary friend. However, to me, he was not imaginary at all. And I have had a few friends, that when we were hanging out, one in particular, she knew where he was. I'm going to sound so insane. Basically, we were hanging out, and she was like, "Can I ask you a question?" I was like, "Sure." And she was like, "Is he, like, right behind you, like, to your right?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's exactly where he's at." And, you know, we just chilled, and so she believed me. The movie The Sixth Sense, when it came out, I thought it was written about me. I saw dead people. And a lot of them I never met and never knew. But as I started getting old, as people I knew began to die, started seeing them in my dreams, seeing them in real life, or real time. And for me, it was intriguing, very intriguing, but along with the good souls, what I believed were negative entities also came. I'm just going to kind of give you an example of some things that happened to me in my life as far as dealing with the energies you can't, or people, beings other people couldn't see, but I could. I guess it started around when I was 10. We moved into a new house, and in my house, in my room was connected the attic, and I grew up in Texas, so it was very hot. But my room stayed usually very cold. In the winter time, it was very cold, and in the summertime, I remember it was usually very cold, even with the attic being there. I raised rats, and they were like my best friends, and along with my dog, my dog Buster. When we moved into this house, I think was about when it really started. And to be honest, for the most part, after we moved out of that house, a lot of the negative things that happened to me as far as the negative energies stopped. But at the same time, I was living in that house when I decided to completely close my door to the spirit world. The first thing that I remember was quick note, probably from the day I was born, I had night terrors and insomnia. Okay. So my room was a mess. I'm a hoarder. I try not to be, but I am. I'm a messy kind of person. I feel comfort in mess, clutter. I remember I was laying in bed and I began to hear a tapping noise, and I thought it was like a lizard or something on the window. And I got up and I went to the window and I looked, and there's, you know, it's dark out. It's like probably around midnight or so. I had school the next day, and there's nothing on the window that I could see, and the tapping actually sounded like it was coming from inside my room. So turn the light on, look around, trying to see, you know, is there a bug or something in my room. I couldn't see anything. I lay back down, and the tapping gets louder and actually seems to be getting faster. Seems to be reacting to my fear. Like, it's like, haha, haha, you're scared, you're scared. And that was the first time that I remember. My body became frozen, very cold. My breath became very shallow because I was actually afraid to breathe, because I felt as though there was something going to hurt me in my room. I remember my mom coming to wake me up for school, and I was wide awake, and she was like, "You're white as a ghost." And I was like, "Yeah, I think there's something in my room." So we look around the room, look in the closet, look in the attic, there's nothing there. And it actually stopped as soon as she opened the door and turned the light on. So that was the first thing that I can remember that I thought I was insane. I'm thinking, I'm hearing tapping noises in my freaking head now. And like I said, it was about 10. Also, this video is probably going to be long, sorry. So that was the first thing I can remember. After that, things began to happen. I would put something in one place before I went to bed. It would be in another place when I woke up. Now, I could have been sleepwalking, but I didn't sleep very much. So usually I'd be like, I know I wasn't even asleep last night, you know. What the hell is going on? The television in my room would turn on and off on its own. It didn't have a remote, so I had to physically get up out of bed, and it was like, you know, a little box TV, and turn the TV on and change the channels, and usually I would just leave it on whatever channel, and because I didn't have a remote for it. So I couldn't change the channel if I'm laying in bed. The channels would change on their own. It would turn off on its own. At first I thought it was a glitch in the TV or something, and I told my parents, my TV's not working, you know, it keeps turning off. I would turn it on, as soon as I get on the bed, it would turn off. And they're like,